I'm 41 and a stay-at-home mom. My husband Paul is 48 and works in finance. We've been married for nearly 20 years and have 2 kids, our son Eric, 18, a senior in high school, and our daughter Mary, 15. My kids are the light of my life. Over the years, our marriage with Paul has grown stale for many reasons. His demanding work schedule, my aging since we first met, and more. Eric has been dating a girl named Emmy, also 18 since 9th grade. He's head over hell for her. It's his first love. I've always considered her part of our family, which makes what's happened absolutely heartbreaking. Last week I glimpsed Paul's phone and saw a text exchange with Emmy, Eric's girlfriend. One message from her read, "I miss you and can't wait to explicit content again." I froze, unable to believe my eyes. All day I tried to convince myself I misread it, but I had. Over the next few days, I found a folder on Paul's computer filled with explicit content, suggesting an addiction. There were also saved Instagram photos of Emmy, fully clothed, but their presence confirmed I wasn't losing my mind. When I got a chance, I checked his phone again and found more messages between them. I wish I hadn't. They were full of vile comments about me, constantly comparing me to her. He called me fat and old, and Emmy just laughed. I've always suspected Paul might be cheating, but I never imagined something this horrific. Last month I found a pair of underwear in our bedroom that definitely wasn't mine. Like a fool, I brushed it off, convincing myself they might belong to Mary, which is absurd. Paul isn't just cheating on me, he's betrayed our son. I'm in complete horror. Words can't capture the despair, anger, and shock I'm feeling. I don't know how to handle this because one thing is clear, I have to do something. But I'm terrified. This will devastate Eric. How do I even begin this conversation? I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I can't believe I married this monster. Then I started noticing odd behavior from Paul that began right around the time Emmy turned 18. Was he waiting for her to become legal to start this? There's so much filth in this story, and I'm paralyzed by fear and disgust. It's surreal. How did I let this happen right under my nose? Am I really that clueless? Eric adores Emmy, and the thought of revealing this disgusting truth to him terrifies me. It could shatter his young heart and psyche. My heart breaks for Eric and Mary, who are completely innocent in this. I haven't confronted Paul yet because honestly, I'm scared of the domino effect. I don't know where to start. I'm sharing my story not for pity but in search of understanding, and maybe advice from others who faced betrayal on this scale. Thank you for listening. Update. My brother gave me the contact of a tough, tenacious lawyer, a real bulldog professionally. I saved screenshots of all Paul and Emmy's messages. I could only recover the last 3 months of their chats from iCloud, mostly flirty and explicit talk, but it was sickening to read. There were also nasty comments about me. Call logs showed they spoke for hours regularly. Paul uses dating apps and I screenshotted his profiles and active chats with other women. He sets filters for girls aged. I copied all files from his computer, revealing he's active in explicit chats and forums and spends heavily on OnlyFans. I searched every possible hiding spot in the house and found his toys, blindfolds, handcuffs, lubricants, and more. There were also outfits resembling a schoolgirl uniform and a French maid costume. I took Eric and Mary out of school, and we went to my brother's place. The kids sensed something was wrong immediately. On the way, I carefully told them everything, breaking down in tears at one point. Mary was the angriest, even more than Eric. I met with Emmy's mom and shared everything. She took Emmy's phone and gave me access to her messages. Again, I only found texts from the last 3 months, as if they both deleted everything earlier. Emmy's mom said Emmy cried during their talk, insisting her mom wouldn't understand because she and Paul are in love. I won't go into details, but Paul gradually became a wise mentor to Emmy, exploiting her troubled family background. Emmy claims it was platonic until she turned 18, and before that he was just a friend and guide. I confronted Paul via Zoom. His face was terrifying, red, sweaty, eyes full of panic and anger. His voice was defensive and menacing. He just yelled that none of it happened, stammering nervously, his words making no sense. I refused to tell him where I was, and he claimed I had no right to take his kids, then left the call. My lawyer is filing for temporary sole custody of Mary and seeking a restraining order. Mary is still furious, seething at her dad and Emmy, and rightfully so. She's recalling times when Paul interacted with her friends, and it creeps her out. Eric is clearly hurting, but handling it with remarkable maturity. He wants to see a therapist. I'm so proud of the strength my kids are showing, They don't deserve this. We've reported everything to the authorities. I have no intention of showing any mercy, and in this divorce I'll be relentless. I've been reflecting a lot on how Paul treated me over the years, how he diminished me, made me feel like a shadow of myself, and caused me to think poorly of myself for the past 20 years. I won't let that monster escape the consequences. I want to rebuild my confidence and move forward stronger than ever. Second update, thank you again for all the support and kind words. They mean so much to me. I've received many comments and messages accusing me of making this all up, and oddly that brings me some comfort. It validates how surreal this feels, even to me. Some people can't even fathom this being true. I wish it were fiction. I've been so focused on everyone else's feelings that I've neglected my own, but I'm trying to change that now. My emotions swing between rage and complete numbness, like a switch flipping. My kids and I are safe, still staying at my brother's house. We're being cautious, and his home is secure with an alarm system and strong locks. Paul calls me multiple times a day, but I ignore him completely. My lawyer now handles all communication with him. Honestly, he scares me. My son and I visited a doctor and got tested for STDs. Rapid tests show we're both clear, but we're awaiting final lab results. I'm not too worried. Eric has an appointment with a therapist early next week, which is great. He needs it. He's not himself, almost in shock, and it worries me. He's bottling everything up, and it's hard to know what's going on in his head. Yet he's attentive, talks to me, and asks how I'm doing. He wants nothing to do with his father. Paul only calls my phone. He hasn't even tried contacting Eric or Mary. I get the sense Paul is panicking, scared. Deep down I think he knows that if they dig into him, he's in serious trouble. My gut tells me that's true. I keep replaying that Zoom call, and the more I think about it, the more I'm convinced I saw a man whose world was crumbling. The panic on his face was unmistakable. I offered to get Mary a therapist, but she declined for now, saying she might consider it later. She needs time alone. She's been asking her friends if they ever noticed anything odd about her dad's behavior. They've been honest, and it seems Paul often stared at them and lingered nearby when they visited. One friend said she felt like he was eyeing her, especially her backside, and once commented on the color of her leggings. It didn't seem strange at the time, but now it feels different. She noted he always sat where he could get a good view of her, and asked about the crowds they hung out with, always curious if they were part of the popular group. I'm horrified and ashamed they experienced this in my home. As for news about Emmy, this is the main reason for this update. I completely agree with those who pointed out that she's a victim too. I've done what I can to indirectly help her get support. As I mentioned, I told her mother everything, and she keeps me updated. Unfortunately, Emmy is still caught in some delusional fog. All I can do is pray she eventually wakes up. She refuses doctors or therapists, and keeps trying to contact Paul, insisting they're in love. From what I know, he's ignoring her, and avoiding all communication. Emmy blames me, thinking I've taken his devices and am acting like a controlling hysteric. Any attempt by her mother to intervene sparks aggression. To Emmy, I'm the villain, and Paul remains her perfect man. Emmy's mom showed her screenshots of Paul's dating app profiles and chats with other women, but Emmy refused to believe it, claiming I photoshopped everything. According to her mom, Emmy insists everyone is just jealous because she found a real man, and I'm supposedly envious because she can take better care of him than I could. This echoes the messages I saved, where Paul constantly complained about what I didn't do for him intimately. Now Emmy is convinced she and Paul will be together long term. Ugh, he's such a slimeball. I can only hope Emmy eventually comes to her senses. Maybe later. Third update, I want to say a huge thank you again for all the support. It's truly powerful, and I'm so grateful. Unfortunately, I've also received tons of negative, accusatory, and even abusive messages from people who think I made this all up. Someone in the comments claimed my story was debunked, and many believed it. The messages accusing me of fabricating this for money have noticeably increased, but I'm not asking for anything from anyone. I came here purely out of emotional desperation. I repeat, I'm not seeking any gain. There's nothing for me to profit from. If you don't believe me, that's fine. I don't care. My only request is not to cross the line with cruel or accusatory messages. I keep sharing for those who've supported me. As for the divorce, it's in full swing. I don't want to dive into details since the process is ongoing, and I want it to go smoothly. I have temporary custody of Mary, and Paul is ordered to pay temporary alimony. The court issued a restraining order, barring him from contacting or approaching us. We're focused on navigating this legal nightmare. I won't go into specifics, but beyond the divorce, we have substantial evidence against Paul that could seriously impact his life. I'm confident I'll be able to share more later. I know many are concerned about his predatory behavior, and I assure you justice will prevail. Your concern for my kid's mental health means a lot to me. Eric has been to therapy twice in the past 2 weeks. I know some thought I was downplaying his pain or pretending he's fine, but I fully recognize he's suffering, and we're doing everything to ensure he feels supported and loved. My brother is a hero. He spends a lot of time with Eric and Mary, and both have opened up to him about their feelings. He has a strong marriage, and he and his wife have been incredibly supportive during this tough time. Mary hasn't started therapy yet, but promised she will soon. I noticed her anger slowly turning into sadness, and I really hope she agrees to therapy. Her friends have played a big role in this, and she's struggling to process everything. Many have asked about Emmy's situation, and whether Eric and Emmy see each other at school. It might seem like they attend the same school, but they don't. They did go to the same middle school, where they met, but Emmy later enrolled in a Catholic girls' school, while Eric and Mary stayed in public school. We all live in the same city, and they started hanging out and dating the summer before high school. I wish I had better news about Emmy, but since the last update, things have only gotten worse. Paul has started seeing her again, despite her mom's efforts to stop it. Emmy told her mom, "I'm 18, I'm an adult, I can decide for myself." Her mom is in a tough spot if she kicks Emmy out for defiance, which she's threatened to do, and I think that's a huge mistake. Emmy will likely move in with Paul permanently. She's been spending more time with him, especially this week, sometimes disappearing for hours. I can't do much more in this situation, but knowing what I do about Paul and what's coming, I believe things could still change. I pray Emmy gets the help and clarity she needs when everything falls apart. Right now, I'm focused on my kids and my own mental health. Emmy's mom knows I support her, and that's probably all I can do for now. Fourth update. Sorry for not writing sooner. I didn't expect people to keep supporting me so strongly after all this time. Thank you so much. I've received so many messages that I couldn't physically respond to them all, so I decided to share an update on how things are going for me and the kids. Mary and Eric have been through a severe trauma, and they're still seeing therapists. It's been a year, and the effects haven't faded. The scale of destruction Paul left behind still shocks me. Honestly, I don't think I'll ever fully recover. Paul and Emmy continued their relationship for a few months after the divorce process began. I tried to stay in touch with Emmy's mom, hoping we could open Emmy's eyes to Paul's perverse behavior. Emmy's mom showed her screenshots of Paul's dating app profiles and messages with other women, but Emmy refused to believe them, claiming I had photoshopped everything. According to her mom, Emmy insists everyone is just angry because she found a real man, and I'm supposedly jealous because she can take better care of him than I could. This mirrors the messages I saved, where Paul constantly complained about what I didn't do for him in our intimate life. Now Emmy is convinced she and Paul have a long-term future together. He's such a sleaze. I can only hope Emmy eventually comes to her senses, maybe down the line. Third update, continued. Maybe Emmy would consider speaking out against Paul if he did anything with her before she turned 18, but she refused to talk about it. She was still infatuated with him. A couple of weeks before the divorce was finalized, Paul vanished. He drained all the money from our joint accounts that I hadn't managed to block and fled. Later, we learned he bought a one-way ticket to Cambodia. I knew nothing about it. We were nearly done with the divorce process. I had full custody of Mary, and he didn't contest anything. Then Paul just stopped communicating, didn't show up to court, didn't file anything, nothing. It's like he evaporated. According to Emmy's mom, Emmy was devastated and is now a mess. She's practically living like a drifter, crashing with various friends and refusing to go home. My lawyer filed a motion for a default judgment due to Paul's absence, and the court granted it. The divorce is technically complete, and I have custody. He's violating the alimony order, but it doesn't matter, he's gone. Cambodia has no extradition treaty, no mechanism to enforce alimony, nothing. There's no way to make him return or pay. We don't even know exactly where he is in Cambodia. The fact that Cambodia is notorious as a hub for child trafficking chills me to the bone. Eric is now in college and has completely distanced himself from anything related to Paul. He rarely talks about it, but carries himself with confidence. I know he's hurting, he just doesn't show it. Mary is quiet too, but sometimes small details come up that she now sees in a new light. Recently she asked if I thought Paul would ever come back. I didn't answer. I think she wasn't expecting one. Honestly, I don't know what Paul is doing in Cambodia, who he's with, or what his life looks like. Some suggested I contact the FBI, or try to initiate an international investigation. I've called and filed what I could, but the authorities have limited options, unless someone has committed a provable crime in the US. I don't believe he fled just to avoid alimony. I think he's a predator and I think he's a criminal. That's all for now. I have nothing more to add. Thank you all for your care and support. Comment on the story. I don't understand why the author labels her husband so harshly, calling him a pervert and such. She even tried contacting the FBI, but for what? From what's described, her husband technically didn't do anything illegal. Even if he started a relationship with Emmy a bit early, he waited until she was 18. What's illegal about that? It's 100% a disgusting move, especially since it was his son's girlfriend. That's beyond the pale. There was also that creepy moment with her daughter's friends, which is gross too, but again, staring at them isn't a crime. I'd hate it, and as a wife or one of those girls, I'd steer clear of a guy like that, but legally there's nothing there. I'm bracing for the backlash in the comments, but let's move on to the next story. Story 2. I think my husband cheated on me, yesterday, or maybe it's been going on for a while. How do I find out the truth? I'm 38, my husband is 40, and we've been together for 17 years, married for nearly 15. We have 5 kids and have always had a wonderful relationship. He's an amazing husband and father, provides for our family, cares about my emotional and physical needs, and makes sure we always have fun and excitement. He showers me with attention, and often gives me flowers, everything I could dream of. I try to be the most loving and affectionate wife, always telling him how much I love and appreciate him. Yesterday morning, I saw 2 messages on his phone from a woman whose name I didn't recognize. They read, "Come over and take it, you'll be surprised," with red heart emojis in both. I was so shocked and crushed that I didn't say a word, and pretended everything was fine. I didn't get a chance to check his phone further, because he left for work almost immediately. He came home about an hour later than usual, and said he was stuck in traffic. But I tracked his location, and he went to an unfamiliar neighborhood, staying there for about 30 minutes. I thought everything was fine between us, so I desperately don't want to believe he's cheating, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Last night, we watched a movie together, and today we went to the beach with the kids and friends. Still, I can't stop replaying it in my head. He has a wife and 5 wonderful kids who love him. I just don't understand how he could risk all of this. How do I find out the truth? Comments. You just need to talk to him. There might be a logical explanation. I'm terrified that the truth will be exactly what I fear. If your husband is innocent and you confront him with "I know everything," it could ruin your marriage, and the blame would be on you. Right now you only have 2 messages as evidence, not much. What if he was just arranging a gift or surprise for you with a colleague or friend, and you've jumped to cheating? Healthy, open communication is what holds a marriage together. If you can't just sit down with him and say, "Look, I wasn't snooping, but I saw those messages, and they're suspicious, what's going on?" then your marriage isn't as strong as you think. Update. Well, everything's okay. To be clear, there wasn't a single clear sign of cheating. My husband is still emotionally invested in our relationship. We have an active, intimate life, and he's as loving and attentive as ever. He doesn't hide his phone or disappear for long without explanation. The thing is, after our youngest was born, I struggled with disordered eating, and gained about 35 pounds over 2 years. My self-esteem, confidence, and intimate life with my husband were awful during that time. But for almost a year now, I've been waking up early with him to work out, watching my diet, and cooking healthier meals for the family. I've lost about 15 pounds, and my husband has been incredibly supportive and affectionate throughout. My confidence has started to return, and our intimate life is much better than it was those years. Still, I sometimes feel insecure, especially since my husband has gotten even more handsome and fit during our marriage. To the point, I'm terrible at lying, or hiding things from my husband, so I couldn't play the reverse psychology game some suggested. Last night, after the kids went to bed, I told him straight up that I saw those messages on his phone and tracked his location. I demanded an explanation. He laughed, thinking I was joking, but I started crying and said I needed the truth. He told me we needed to go outside and that he wanted to show me something. He opened the car trunk, and there was a bag. He told me to look inside. It was a photo album, a chronicle of our photos with him and the kids over our 15 years of marriage. It was supposed to be a gift for our anniversary, which is in a few days. The messages were from his colleague, whose husband makes custom albums for special occasions. My husband had been discussing the creation of a personalized album with her. On Friday evening, he stopped by their place to pick it up. The red heart emojis? She just puts them in every message. He showed me the entire chat, including the messages I'd seen. He hadn't deleted anything. He even joked that I ruined his surprise. We stayed up late flipping through the album, reminiscing about past moments. All I can say is I'm endlessly grateful for my husband. That's it. Top comments. The moral of the story: don't always listen to us jerks. This time, it worked out. You need to leave him. Oops, sorry, that's just habit. Anyway, this story is pretty unusual for our channel, I think. Usually when cheating seems likely, it's actually happening, but not here. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Check out our previous video, which you'll see right here. I hope you enjoyed this video with 2 stories of suspected cheating. Good luck.